1. So there was this girl I used to know in high school, had the typical neckbeard traits, bad hygiene, obsession with anime and Japanese culture, hated fit people, and was incredibly rude. Well, I hadn't talked to her for years. I went to college, graduated, joined the army afterwards, and have been busy making plans and setting goals for the future. And so far, I'm doing pretty well in life. Well, I get a friend request from her, and I'm like, isn't that the angry communist girl from high school? And I'm thinking, she's probably chilled out since then. Nobody is the same person they were in high school. Well, they weren't. They had gotten even worse. They were living in some shithole house, unemployed, mooching off their roommate, and she messages me saying how she has it so hard in life, while she can't be as lucky as people like me. So at first I think, maybe she needs some good advice. I asked her if she was going to school. She said she kept enrolling in classes but dropping out of them because they were stressful, and she used her student loans to help buy cute weeaboo shit. Okay, so she's already bad with money. I ask her if she's got a job. She says she doesn't want to take a job that she feels isn't for her. Again, stupid as hell. You don't wait for the right job, you find one to settle in for a bit and gain experience. And then she tells me more. She just keeps listing off every single bad decision, and I can't feel sorry for her anymore, because she made so many bad decisions she could have changed. Then she starts lecturing me, saying she can't be as lucky as me. And I worked my ass off through college, worked my ass off in the military. And I'm always constantly improving because being a loser is not an option. But I figure, okay, maybe I'll try to help a bit, so I give her advice. And she does the exact opposite of what I tell her to do. I told her to get a job, start getting income. She responds by saying jobs are for ordinary people. Okay, don't know what she meant by that. I tell her maybe she should go to trade school. She says trade schools are for people who can't get into college. Okay, so why don't you go to college? She says it's too stressful and emotionally draining. She went to college for 1 semester with 3 classes. Okay, so I asked her if she had been paying off the student loans she had gotten. Turns out she hadn't been. So at this point I'm done. I can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. So I unfriended her. Then I get a message from one of her friends claiming that she said I stole money from her, which I haven't seen her since high school. I didn't even know her well then, and, well, what money is there to steal? So she couldn't provide proof, but at the same time it's like, what the hell is wrong with you? 2. To begin with, you should perhaps know a bit of information about me. I'm a pretty big guy, standing 6'6" and 15.5 stone. About 220 pounds for my American lovers. I'm also a massive metalhead and honestly look the part, with a ton of tattoos, long hair, big beard, mostly black clothes, etc. All this to say, I'm a pretty intimidating bloke physically. Honestly, personality-wise, I'm absolutely soft as anything, but I understand I'm a pretty scary fella to look at. Hence why I've been working in security for almost all my adult life. You should also know I am absolutely gay as hell, and engaged to marry the man of my dreams in the winter. Anyway, context over. This story takes place about a year ago when I was working as a bouncer at a fairly popular nightclub. It was in a pretty sketchy part of town, and I had a routine of walking the girls who worked on the bar to their cars, or waiting for their taxi with them since it wasn't really the kind of place that young lassies are safe being alone. The guy at the center of this is the bartender who we'll call Max. He was pretty much your stereotypical neckbeard. Didn't have much concept of personal hygiene, wore some anime shirts and stuff when he came in on his nights off. Kind of unhealthily obsessed with East Asian women, which instantly became an issue for one of our female bartenders who we'll call Julia. Julia is a pretty fucking cool chick. She and I used to hang out a lot, go to gigs together, and we'd get dinner every now and then. We're still mates to this day and still hang out pretty regularly. Julia is half Korean, but was born and raised here in the UK, and has never actually been to Korea. So as I said, Julia and I would hang out kind of a lot, and I would walk most of the girls to their cars at night. I guess Max assumed that Julia and I were dating, because one night after I'd walked one of the other girls to her car and returned to collect my stuff and go home myself, I found Max waiting for me and he looked furious. The conversation went a bit like this. "Does Julia know what you're fucking up to?" Excuse me? Don't play fucking dumb with me. What kind of tosspot bags an absolute angel like Julia and cheats on her with a lesser being like that? Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm going to tell Julia that you're seeing someone else. You might want to tell my actual partner Robert first, mate. Wait, you and Julia aren't a couple? Fuck no, man, I don't even swing that way. Well, telling him that was maybe a massive mistake on my part. From that day until he got fired, he set his sights on the poor girl and refused to let up. At all. He would constantly refer to her as a princess, and referring to non-Asian women as peasants, and talking about how much less beautiful they are. He brought her flowers on 3 separate occasions, the 3rd time with a note asking her to be his waifu. I wish I was joking about that. He also told her that metal music was too harsh for such an exquisite lady's delicate ears, and started sending her Spotify playlists of honestly kinda shitty Japanese pop music. The thing that ultimately got him sacked was when Julia got a boyfriend, and Max sent her a long text telling her she was a selfish whore, accusing her new guy of being abusive, he wasn't, saying that he couldn't appreciate her exotic brilliance, and threatening to kill himself if she didn't break up with her boyfriend for him. After he got the boot from work, he spent a few weeks tagging Julia in very incelly memes, until she blocked him, and neither of us have really heard from him since. I don't know what he's up to, but I hope he's learned his lesson and isn't harassing any more girls. 3. Well, this is a story of my sophomore year dealing with a satanic anime-loving neckbeard. Cast list: Aphrodite, yours truly; Screamo Beard, our starring neckbeard; Dragon, childhood best friend; Drunken Father, Drunken for short; my best friend in drama class. So this begins with me starting my first year of public high school. I was homeschooled for 3 years due to bullying, but my mother and I decided to come back since things finally settled down. I was close to being all alone since my best friends didn't share the same classes or lunch period as me, but I was glad to run into my old friend Dragon. He was nice enough to include me in his lunch group, and boy was I not prepared for these two. I say these two because there was also a nice guy sitting at the table, but I'll write about him later. This story is about Screamo Beard. He's a very lanky junior, smells and looks like he hasn't washed his hair in a full decade, wears the same jacket every day without washing it, and listens to blood-curdling screamo and heavy metal music and watches anime. My first impression of him was pretty bad. He tried to creepily compliment me after I introduced myself. Let's remember that he was 18 and engaged, and I was 15. That set off some red flags for me, but who cares? He was silent and didn't even care to engage in conversation at the lunch table. Well, I guess I should have dismissed him right away. The nice guy and Screamo Beard are allegedly cousins, so it wasn't abrupt for him to realize that the nice guy and I dated. After the relationship ended, it only lasted for 2 weeks. Screamo Beard would not stop spreading lies about me. He kept trying to say things like, "She only dumped you because she likes me," or "She only wanted you for money." First of all, the nice guy was broke and I didn't and still don't care about money at all. Second of all, he's fucking engaged and an adult! Fast forward to one day during lunch. I bought myself a snack because the school food is not at all appetizing and I just wanted some popcorn. After I came back to the table, I kid you not, this guy was telling me this. "So I am thinking about moving to this country with my girlfriend because it's legal to marry 2 or more people there." Okay, that's cool. "Would you like to live with us?" Just those words spewing out of his mouth was enough to make me vomit my soda and popcorn like, huh? You've got to be shitting me. Nonetheless, I stopped talking to him after that conversation. Second semester started and I was pretty thrilled. I got into a new relationship that I was happy with. I achieved the role I wanted in a musical, everything was going great for me. Until, who would have guessed it, Screamo Beard enters the drama classroom. Immediately, the class did not like him. They've already heard some things about him and were questioning why he's in the musical with us. He's not the type to sing, let alone speak up or stand out. So, all semester, while everybody's been trying to learn their lines and songs, Screamo Beard was far from behind us. I remember my teacher getting onto him for not being on cue. He was so entitled to being in the classroom when he had no reason to be. He went as far as getting on to some of the cast members for not learning our lines correctly, or messing up with our songs. Keep in mind that all he did was sit in a corner watching anime, or trying to practice his death scream in the middle of rehearsal. They despised him for that, but they did enjoy me taking a stand for them and putting him back in his place. My best friend, Drunken. He played as Cinderella's father, and he was portrayed as a drunk father, hence the name. And I would talk about a few people in the class, as well as what we wanted to do after high school. But the most we talked about was Screamo Beard, and he knew a lot more about him than I thought. Screamo Beard has a very nasty history in the high school. He was caught jacking off to hentai in the library and in the computer lab. He and Drunken were about to fight with each other at one point. But one that everybody in the class knew, he didn't audition for a role in the musical. While the rest of us were working our asses off, trying to get everything ready before the big show, he sat in a corner, watching anime on his phone and judging everybody above him. He was such a bother that we wanted to talk to the teacher to kick him out of the class and replace him with somebody else. He had a short part, so it would be easy to find a replacement. But besides all of that, he would not give me any personal space. If I was talking to my ex-boyfriend in the hallway, he would ask if we're back together. If I was watching something, he would bring his oily face into my personal bubble. It was awful. But I'm glad it's all over. The entire class put on a great show. Everybody was happy with their performances. And we're ready to leave the school. After the show, I decided to ignore him for good. I blocked him on all accounts, stopped giving him my attention in school until he finally gave up. I was so free from all of that, you have no idea. I know I sound like a bitch throughout this entire thing, but you have to realize that he was so ignorant. All he did was bring people down and build himself an ego. There's more about him, but the story would be too long if I kept going, so I'm going to end it here. 4. This happened back in sophomore year of high school. First off, allow me to introduce myself. I don't grace the places where the Neckbeards roam, such as arcades, comic book stores, and anime conventions. But I had an unpleasant experience with a Neckbeard. The characters, me, 6-foot male, long blonde and chestnut hair, big into NASCAR, history, science, comics, and fighter jets. Call me Jackal, I look like one. I planned on joining the Marine ROTC, but I had a change of heart. But that's beside the point. Minibeard, a shorter kid but 2 years older than me. One of the two titular neckbeards of this story. Has a bit of a Napoleon complex. Had somewhat of a neckbeard. Megabeard. A big mother effer. There is overweight. There is obese. And there is holy hell Genghis Khan on a cracker obese. He was Minibeard's friend. It was the start of a new year in my high school. I live in a large city, and fighting was nothing new for our school. I was a bit of a brawler myself. I even got into a fight not even 2 months into freshman year, 2 years prior. But that's beside the point. I had English class with this particular beard. I was minding my business, and all of a sudden, for no damn good reason, he threatened to beat my ass. This, in and of itself, was random, and it caught me off guard. One thing about me, I am a chill, laid-back, somewhat book-smart guy, and not prone to fight, but if I am provoked, I will put up a fight. My mom and dad told me growing up that I could not hit someone, but if someone hits me, I can hit back. I told my mom and dad about what happened, and they told me the same thing and to remember not to let this dope get to me. A few months later, Megabeard starts attending the school. Like I said, this dude was overweight. He was friends with Minibeard. I had class with both of them in my first hour of school that year, which was gym class. We would play games, run the pacer test and whatnot. Sometimes, if there was nothing going on, I would be sketching in my drawing book, mainly fighter jets. This day I was working on the A-7 Corsair, an attack jet from the Vietnam War. It was crude in hindsight, but hey, nobody's perfect. I was working on the outline when Minibeard thought it would be a good idea to test my limits. He came out of nowhere and then slapped my book out of my hands. At that point, that primal part of my brain lit up like a Christmas tree, and I gave him a look that my friends would say resembles that of an angry pit bull. The little shit threw my backpack and I almost kicked his ass back to the year 2000. But I quickly cooled off and thought it would be better to bide my time. I talked to this one girl, same age as Minibeard, but I thought she was something else, and she said something along the lines of, "Jackal, cool your jets, it's not worth it, and he's my friend." I thought, how the hell would he be your friend? I took her advice. For a while. Eventually Megabeard got word of it and said he would beat my ass, and if I were to fight Minibeard, he would get involved. I took his word seriously, but then I figured, F him. Fast forward some time later, and I'm on my way to English class, and lo and behold, Minibeard is behind me and he spouts his usual line about how he is going to kick my ass. So I called his bluff. I said, try me. Go ahead, show me what you got. While pointing at my face, egging him on to do so. The doofus then threw a pen at my face. At the second his pencil hit my face, the reptilian part of my brain was turned on and there was no stopping it. I let him go ahead of me, and then I grabbed him by his shoulder and then beat his ass, punching him in the chest multiple times. The look on everyone's face was pure shock. The teacher was stunned at what she saw. I then left to cool off. In the end, he left me alone for the rest of the year. He later tried to make peace by a fist bump. I reluctantly returned the favor, with part of me wanting to give him another round of punches, but I held back. He later sent me a friend request on Facebook, this not being a month after the altercation. He was a total neckbeard, into anime and wolves for some reason. We had a few mutual friends. I blocked him, and I recently checked in to see what he is doing. Apparently he might have been catfished by someone online and going on long rants. So there you go. My first neckbeard story. I got another in the works, so stay tuned. 5. Basics. M, me, GF, girlfriend, F, friend, NB, neckbeard. Okay, so first off, let's start from how I was in this story. I was usually, still kinda am to be honest, a quietish guy, and even though was decently likable, didn't like social interaction that much. I used to have a class which consisted of not many people. Me, F, one girl aka future girlfriend at the time, NB, etc. They aren't important to the story, just gonna leave them out. But we were 11 students in total. Now, since the beginning of the semester, I had noticed that we had the famous NB that occasionally comes wearing anime hoodies, and always smelling like a dead trout with enough grease to drown a small village. Unfortunate. And without surprise, he liked to sit next to the one girl in class, which was expected. Throughout the days, I had noticed that he liked to talk a lot with said girl, and I noticed this because every time they usually sat in front of me. She always seemed uncomfortable, to be honest, and never talked back to him, but I didn't care enough at the time. Although I did feel kinda bad for her because he was always with the same creepy sexual milady act. Because of this, I had decided to pluck up my courage and go talk to her one day when I noticed he wasn't around. Because he always stuck to her like a leech, even when she was trying to talk to her friends, which, nowadays, I know that he tried to pass creepy flirty comments to them as well. And I told her that I knew about his creepy comments to her, and that if she needs a friend to call for a bit of help, I would do my best to try and do something about it. She replied with, "Thank you." And I thought I was going to have to deal with him alone all year. We kept on talking for a bit before he came in, clearly trying to get me to stop talking by giving me weird looks and constantly trying to interrupt us. Which I'm guessing is his way of trying to intimidate me? Either way, I paid no attention to him. Fast forward a few months, and after me constantly having to shut down NB before he could make any stupid moves after GF signals me over, and me and GF have started dating. Yay! As expected, once NB found out me and GF were dating, he started treating me more harshly than ever, and often saying that I take advantage of girls and I don't treat GF well. Fast forward a few weeks, and here's where the drama starts. Me, F, and GF always took the same bus home, so we usually always walked with each other. While walking, I started hearing fast-paced, heavy steps coming from behind us. So I look behind me, and lo and behold, it's NB coming in for a tackle. Not a friendly tackle. The fat shit caught me by surprise and sent me hurling to the ground, with him landing on top of me. I thought I had finally died. Feeling his sweaty chest on me felt like hell on earth. Me and F managed to push him off. The conversation while I'm catching my breath goes, "What is wrong with you?"
"You deserved it."
"For what, man?"
"For taking my girl, you playboy piece of shit."
"You stubborn fuck, when will you understand that she isn't into you? Ever since the beginning of the year, you have been a creep. What exactly makes you think that I ever wanted to be with you?"
"I'm loyal, I'm nice to you, and you are perfect for me."
Slowly trying to get back up from the ground. F pushes him back down. Stay the fuck down or I will beat the living shit out of you. We walked away from the shattered neckbeard, trying not to look back, and ever since then he has been giving me these ugly looks, but luckily, he never annoyed any one of us. Thank God. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Neckbeards in the Wild, number 30. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Been quite fortuitous tonight. The neighbours are starting to make noise now, just the usual bumping and banging. But I'm done recording, so bang away. Hope you're doing something fun. This weekend I'm going to try and get the archive of the true scary stories up. So that's about 400 audio files. I'll hope my computer can take that all at once, poor little fella. So I'm going to try and get those up before the weekend's over, Monday at the very latest. Because, let's see, I'll probably want to stream at some point over the weekend. But I can get the extractor going. Just ripping the audio from the videos. I can get that going. I can leave that to itself, actually. So, yeah, I should be able to get that done before the weekend's over. So they will go up. I'll post a link. They'll go up on Google Drive. I'll post a link to it on Patreon, where you can go and you can download whichever you want, or you can download the whole thing if you need to, if you want to just keep a big old dose of Hellfreezer with you. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening. And take very good care of yourselves.